Alright, hello and good day to you all. This is Nader with another video on Napoleon Total War multiplayer. And this time it's going to be a three-corps army. So me, Colin on the far right, and in the center we have Scott. We have quite a variant of Ottoman infantry and cav. But in the middle you can see it's mostly Scots bought basically a lot of Nizam al-Sadid infantry, New Order infantry complemented with those excellent Nizam al-Sadid light infantry. You can see he's bought 4 of them actually. Whereas me, I've just bought a ton of Old Order infantry. Most of them don't have bayonets, none of them can form square. Actually, none of them have bayonets, and the majority of my army is actually made up of Silahdar Guards, Sipahi Cav, and mostly just mounted units. So for me, it's been almost entirely an entirely Old Order kind of army composition. And you can see the reason why we're rushing forward is because we're not going to last in a ranged combat. The only way we're going to win this, or specifically I'm going to win this, is if we get stuck in and make good use of our cavalry as well as our... Where's our... Oh my god, my swordsman. I have only 2 swordsman units, 1 Bashi Bazouk and 1 Semat Janissary. And they're way in the back, so that's not ideal. But I'm going to push forward as fast as I can, and we actually managed to push forward so quickly that these guys didn't have much time to take the crest of the hill. I think that's because most people who deploy on this side, they hunker down and they defend this ridge, which is quite a sound decision, but for the Ottomans, especially when you bring this kind of old-fashioned army, it's not going to work well. So we're just going to rush forward without firing at all, and basically start to fire right into their faces. This is going to be beautiful. And right behind them, we have the Silahdar Guard coming in, putting them into square. I should have pushed slightly further.
Sir, our general is under attack.
And my general, I'm not sure which general. How on earth is he under attack? Well, maybe howitzers or something. Because the Austrians have bought howitzers, and there is a monstrously experienced 5-pounder howitzer behind the British. And the Prussians over here, of course, they've bought 7-pounder howitzers. You can see the army composition on this side is quite different. It's mostly modern Ottoman units, Nizam al-Sadid infantry, Nizam al-Sadid rifles, and it's a much more traditional Napoleon Total War battle with ranged combat and cavalry basically playing a supporting role. Whereas on this side, it's pretty much cavalry doing the main fighting, and it's the infantry that's playing a supporting role. Over here you can see it's the Sipahi Cav who are stuck in, routing the first Hussars. And I think they're going to descend down. That was excellent. Right through the first one. I think onto the second one, the 47th check. If I only managed to go for that dastard 7-pounder howitzer, it would be perfect. But on the minimap, you can see we're basically marching our army forward in echelon formation. Mine is going to be pressing on the enemy's right a lot. In the middle, Scott is also applying a lot of pressure, and pretty soon he's going to be piecing in his Semat Janissaries for the melee. Whereas... okay, this is it, yeah. The Prussian player was much more in tune with the terrain and what was happening, so he pressed forward quite well. And he's also flanking quite well as well. So Colin is having quite a hard time pushing over this plateau over here, but it shouldn't matter if we win on our side, which it seems like we are. You can see here, he's basically funneling all of his cuirassiers and heavy cavalry into this melee with the Delhi horsemen as they get fired on by the Beylik musketeers. And I still have a decent reserve of melee infantry as well as one Silatar guard. And I also have a brigade of these Beylik janissaries just waiting to be deployed. And I can't believe this, but my Delhi horsemen, which are light horsemen, managed to rout and completely bamboozle these 3 regiments of heavy horse. And now they're being pressed over here. And on this side they're going to get their asses kicked by the Sipahi Cav. And I think Mehmet Ali's just going to get right on top. Mind you, they are tearing apart that one Beylik Janissary Musketeer regiment. So the Austrians want to pull back, and you can see a really dangerous formation. The foot guards are deploying right on my right flank, and as I press into the Austrians, I'm coming up against some heavy flanking fire by elite British troops. Thankfully, Scott's also wrapping his men around to basically ameliorate that problem that I have, but I'm not going to last that long under foot guard fire. And here come my Silatar guards. I just need to put some of these bastards into square, and right like that. Beautiful. I think the British howitzers should stop firing on my Silatar guards. I mean, they're going to do much more damage to the Austrian infantry. And there we have it, the Bashi bazooks coming in. Those Hungarian Fusiliers, they're pretty good troops, but they have absolutely no chance against swordsmen. And Semit Janissaries, I just needed to do something about this foot guard brigade over here. And these guys are going relatively untouched. Only 5 men are lost. And there we go. Right across the guns and onto those foot guards. Okay. Why does it say they're losing? They should be winning. At least it pushed them back and gave me some breathing space. But the Austrians not doing too badly. You can see I just boosted the morale of my men, and he's managing to basically retain some semblance of a line with rearranging his men. Oh, and yeah, Scott's general just fell, unfortunately. But you can see, slowly but surely, in the center and on the left, they're being pushed back. Even on this side, we've managed to basically overcome. And yeah, now we have control of the plateau. And we broke through with our Sipahi Cav, and please let this be the end of the Austrian general. Okay, and that's it. And I think this one Sipahi Cav is going to basically end it, yeah. With the death of their general, these guys died. They're being flanked from the rear. There's absolutely no chance of these guys surviving in, like, engagement from the front whilst being charged by Lancer cavalry in the rear. Yeah. That was probably the most decisive cavalry charge by 24 men or so. Okay, that one cavalry maneuver pretty much ended the remaining Austrian corps. They don't have any more units left. And now it's just basically taking care of these guys. These Ottoman cavalry, they're actually not from my corps at all. They're all the way from this flank. So I think, yeah, it's definitely Colin's cavalry. So these are my last two reserve Beylik Janissaries. They're just keeping up the fire on these foot guards. And Major General Picton. Where is he? Okay, we found him. Please be shot. Please get shot. If only... Oh, for goodness sake. He made us out of there. Somehow. And there was absolutely nothing I could do. These Prussians, they just... I can't form square, of course. These are pretty old infantry. But I had one line behind them, and I gave the order to fire.
One of our units has used all its ammunition,
And
sir.
yeah, it just worked. Just as they came crashing into me, I managed to get them out. And that's my Sipahi Cav. I think the honor of killing Major General Picton is going to be my cavalries. Okay. You can see the horseshoe that we managed to form around the center of the enemy. And those are the results. Scots in the middle killed quite a few, the most actually, but he also lost quite a few. He was pretty badly tied. He was in the center and he was like supporting me on my flank, as well as Colin on his. Whereas I didn't deploy that many because I mostly invested in cavalry, and cavalry have lower unit counts anyway. But boy oh boy, everyone played well. None of these guys actually slackened. They all gave as well as they got. So good game to Ares and Jackboot and Schrock. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, then keep subscribed for upcoming videos.